Before start a video, please subscribe my YouTube channels for more videos. Marcus Williams, a hard-working 34-year-old single father, returned home after a long night at his job as a delivery driver. Bills stacked high on the counter reminded him that rent was due, and there was barely enough for groceries. As he walked past the corner store, a small commotion caught his eye. Two little girls, twins, around 8 years old, were struggling to carry a heavy backpack filled with books and groceries. They looked panicked, clearly lost. "Hey, do you need some help?" Marcus asked gently, kneeling beside them. The twins looked up, their eyes wide. We can't find our mom," one whispered. The night was chilly and the streets were quiet, giving him an uneasy feeling. Without thinking twice, Marcus offered to walk them home. The girls hesitated, then nodded. As they walked together, he asked questions softly, trying not to alarm them. They wouldn't say much, only that their mother was away and their father was... Well, they seemed reluctant to talk about him. Marcus didn't know what he was getting into. He took the girls to his modest apartment, a 2-bedroom unit that barely fit the three of them. He prepared sandwiches and hot chocolate while the girls explored timidly. "Thank you," one of the girls said quietly, her voice trembling. Marcus smiled warmly, trying to make them feel at ease. "It's no problem. You're safe here tonight." The girls, Sarah and Emily, told him about their evening. Their babysitter had canceled, and their father, well, he hadn't come home on time. They were tired, hungry, and scared. Marcus listened patiently, offering comfort in ways only someone who understood struggle could. That night, Marcus set up the living room couch with blankets and pillows. The girls curled up, and Marcus kept a mug of coffee in his hands, watching them fall asleep. He couldn't shake the feeling that this night would change something in all their lives. The next morning, Marcus woke to the sound of laughter. The girls were giggling in the kitchen, having found a cereal box. He smiled despite himself, making coffee and breakfast. Conversation flowed more easily now, small smiles appearing between bites of toast and pancakes. As they ate, one of the girls, Emily, hesitated before speaking. "Daddy, will he be mad if we stayed with someone else for a little while?" Marcus paused. "Your dad, is he around?" Sarah and Emily looked at each other nervously. "He's busy." "Important," Sarah said softly. Marcus didn't press. He only nodded. Little did he know, the father of these girls wasn't just important. He was a millionaire, a CEO who rarely spent time with his family. Marcus only knew one thing: the girls needed help, and he would give it. Throughout the day, Marcus helped the twins with homework, played games, and prepared lunch. They laughed more freely now, their small hands occasionally brushing his arm as they passed books or pencils. At one point, Sarah whispered, "You're really nice. Not like anyone we know?" Marcus chuckled, a little embarrassed. "I try my best." The girls' smiles lit up the small apartment, filling it with a warmth Marcus hadn't felt in years. By evening, the bond was unmistakable. Marcus realized that helping them wasn't just an act of kindness. It was a lesson in patience, love, and understanding. He'd known struggle, but these girls showed him hope, even in tiny, unexpected moments. That evening, Marcus received a call. The girls' father, a formal, polished man named Richard Stanton, had been searching frantically for them. He was wealthy, influential, and unaccustomed to anyone outside his social circle touching his family's life. When Richard arrived, Marcus opened the door cautiously. The girls ran to their father, their tiny arms wrapping around him. Marcus held back, unsure how to act. He didn't know the man was a millionaire. To him, he was just another worried parent. Richard's eyes scanned the apartment, landing on Marcus. A moment of tension hung in the air. Marcus didn't know if the man would thank him or confront him, but the girls tugged on Richard's sleeve, whispering excitedly about how kind Marcus had been. For the first time, Richard looked at Marcus differently. Not as a stranger, but as someone who had cared for what mattered most to him, his daughters. Richard Stanton, the millionaire father, finally stepped fully inside Marcus's modest apartment. The contrast between his polished suit and Marcus's worn, casual clothes was stark. Richard cleared his throat, attempting a polite smile. "Thank you." "I guess," Richard said, unsure how to phrase gratitude. Marcus nodded politely. They were safe. That's what matters. The twins giggled, whispering excitedly about Marcus's homemade sandwiches and the fun games they played. Richard's face softened, realizing his daughters had spent a joyful night despite his own absence. Marcus, unaware of Richard's wealth, simply thought him a concerned, slightly intimidating man. Dinner was tense. Richard insisted the girls eat something before heading home, while Marcus cleaned up the remnants of lunch. The air was filled with unspoken words. Marcus unsure if he was overstepping, Richard unsure how to appreciate someone outside his elite world taking care of his children. Emily looked up and asked softly, "Can Marcus come see us again?" Marcus froze. Richard's brow furrowed, a flicker of irritation showing. But then he smiled faintly. "We'll see. He did a good job tonight." The twins' eyes sparkled with relief and happiness, showing Marcus that even a millionaire's world could be kind when hearts were involved. Richard invited Marcus to sit for a moment. Marcus hesitated, unsure what a millionaire father would want from him. "I can see how much you care about them," Richard began. "I can offer you more than thanks. Perhaps a job? A way to support your own family?" Marcus shook his head, firmly. "I appreciate it, sir, but I work hard and I manage. I'm not looking for charity." Richard nodded, impressed by Marcus's humility. "Very well, but know this. You've earned my respect." The words were simple, yet they carried weight, bridging the gap between worlds. It was time for Marcus to leave. The twins hugged him tightly, their small arms wrapping around his waist. "Thank you, Marcus. You're the best," Sarah exclaimed. Marcus smiled, ruffling their hair. Richard's gaze lingered on Marcus, a mix of respect and contemplation. He extended a hand. "If you ever need anything, call me." Marcus shook it firmly. "I'll remember that, sir. But right now, I've got my own girls to care for." The girls waved as Marcus walked out the door. Outside, the city lights reflected off his tired but satisfied expression. He had helped them for just one night, yet the impact was immense, on the twins, on their father, and on himself. That night, Marcus returned home to his apartment, exhausted but happy. He reflected on the strange twists of fate. A night that started with strangers in need had turned into a lesson about kindness, humility, and the unexpected ways lives can intersect. The twins had left a lasting mark on him, as had their father. Though worlds apart in wealth and opportunity, respect and human connection had bridged the gap, Marcus knew one thing. Helping them wasn't about money or recognition. It was about heart. As he sipped a late-night cup of coffee, Marcus smiled softly. "One night can change a lifetime," he whispered, and in that moment, he felt it. A story of generosity, courage, and humanity unfolding in the simplest, most profound ways. The next morning, Marcus woke early to make breakfast for the twins. Sarah and Emily were already awake, helping set the table. Marcus watched them and realized how much joy simple routines could bring. Pancakes, laughter, and small conversations about school and dreams. The girls confided more about their father, revealing that he was often busy with work, always traveling. Marcus nodded silently, understanding the importance of presence over material wealth. Marcus suggested a small morning walk to stretch their legs. The girls eagerly agreed, holding his hands tightly. They visited a nearby park, played on swings, and fed pigeons, laughing freely. During the walk, Marcus noticed the city's divide, skyscrapers looming in the distance, wealthy people hurrying. Yet his little family of 3 found happiness in the small, overlooked corners of the city. At the park, a man in a sharp suit watched them curiously. Marcus didn't recognize him, but the twins froze when they saw him. He called their names softly. It was Richard, their father. Marcus instinctively stepped forward, ready to explain. Richard's expression softened as he saw the joy on his daughters' faces. Marcus realized again that he didn't know the full weight of the man's life or resources. Richard approached carefully. "Thank you for taking care of them last night," he said, voice formal but sincere. Marcus nodded. "It's what anyone would do." The twins ran between them, beaming. Richard's demeanor softened as he watched the bond between Marcus and his daughters. A subtle respect formed, not based on wealth, but on character. Richard insisted on joining Marcus and the twins for breakfast. Marcus hesitated but welcomed him in. As pancakes and scrambled eggs were served, the 3 adults found themselves in a rare moment of connection. The twins gushed about the fun they had, and Richard quietly observed, realizing how much he had missed in their lives. Marcus didn't comment on his wealth. He only shared genuine laughter and stories. Richard admitted privately to Marcus, "I didn't expect anyone outside my circle to treat them like family. You've shown me something important." Marcus smiled, brushing off the compliment. "I just did what I thought was right. That's all anyone can do." Richard felt a shift. Respect and admiration for Marcus grew. Wealth couldn't buy this kind of integrity or heart. The afternoon was spent playing board games, drawing, and helping the girls with small projects. Marcus's apartment, though modest, felt alive and warm. The laughter was infectious. Richard joined in hesitantly at first, but soon found himself laughing with the twins. He noticed Marcus's patience, humor, and genuine kindness, qualities money could never buy. As the day waned, Marcus prepared a small dinner for the twins before their father took them home. He felt a mix of pride and sadness. He had grown, attached in just one night, and now it was time to let go. The twins hugged him tightly, whispering, "Thank you, Marcus. We love you." Marcus's heart swelled. He smiled, ruffling their hair. "I'll miss you too. Take care of each other." Richard drove them home, silently observing Marcus's apartment from a distance. He realized the magnitude of the man's character. Marcus had given his daughters joy, safety, and love without expecting anything in return. For Richard, this was a wake-up call. Wealth and power meant nothing without empathy and presence. He promised himself to change, to be a better father and partner in his children's lives. Marcus waved goodbye, returning to his apartment. He reflected on the night and day he had spent with the twins. One night of helping strangers had transformed into a profound experience. Little did he know, this night was only the beginning. Richard intended to reach out again, not just as a millionaire, but as a father ready to change. Marcus had opened a door, and the future would test both men's values, hearts, and courage. A week later, Richard invited Marcus to a casual meeting at a nearby cafe. Marcus arrived cautiously, unsure what the millionaire wanted. Richard explained, "I want my daughters to see more of the people who care for them, including you." Marcus hesitated. He valued his independence and privacy, but he saw the hopeful eyes of the twins in his mind, and he nodded. "All right, let's try it." That evening, Marcus joined Richard and the twins at the Stanton estate. The lavish surroundings were overwhelming, but Marcus stayed grounded. The twins led the conversation, laughing freely, while Richard observed Marcus's patience and humor in action. A nervous moment occurred when the house staff looked at Marcus strangely. He remained polite, quietly helping the girls and staying true to himself. The tension eased as Richard realized Marcus's authenticity contrasted with the polished superficiality around them. After dinner, Richard confided in his assistant, "I don't know if he fits in our world, but he's exactly what my girls need." The assistant nodded, acknowledging Marcus's integrity and the bond he shared with the twins. Richard realized that wealth and status could never replace the qualities Marcus naturally possessed: kindness, empathy, and unwavering commitment to family. Marcus took the twins to a local amusement park while Richard attended meetings. He bought simple snacks, played games, and rode the carousel with them. Laughter echoed throughout the day, and Marcus felt a sense of fulfillment he hadn't experienced in years. The twins, exhausted but happy, whispered repeatedly, "We love spending time with Marcus." He smiled, heart swelling, realizing that love transcends wealth, status, and circumstance. One afternoon, the twins accidentally broke a valuable vase at the Stanton mansion. Panic set in, and they hid in a corner. Marcus calmly approached, comforting them. "It's okay," he said. "Mistakes happen. We can fix it together." When Richard discovered what happened, he was ready to react angrily. But Marcus's calm demeanor and explanation softened him. He realized punishment wouldn't teach love or responsibility. Guidance would. Late that night, Marcus returned home, reflecting on the growing bond with Richard and the twins. He worried about overstepping boundaries or becoming attached to a life so different from his own. Still, he couldn't ignore the emotional impact. One night he whispered to himself, "I'm just doing what's right. But maybe it's changing all our lives." Richard called Marcus unexpectedly, asking for advice on balancing work and family. Marcus listened patiently, offering insights from his own struggles. Richard was surprised. A man with no formal training in wealth management or corporate strategy could offer wisdom in ways money never could. A newfound respect formed between them, bridging the worlds of struggle and privilege. One afternoon, Marcus accidentally spilled coffee on Richard's expensive laptop while helping the twins with schoolwork. Panic ensued, but the twins' laughter lightened the tension. Richard stared at Marcus, half annoyed, half amused. Then he laughed, realizing Marcus's honesty, humility, and the chaos of genuine life were far more valuable than his gadgets. Weeks passed, and trust deepened. Marcus continued to care for the twins during Richard's busy days, and the girls blossomed under his guidance. Richard invited Marcus to family outings, not as a guest, but as part of their lives. Marcus remained humble, focused on love and guidance rather than material gain. The dynamic shifted. They weren't just children and caretaker anymore. They were forming a blended, caring family. One evening, Marcus stayed late helping the twins with a school project. Richard observed from the doorway, silently appreciating Marcus's dedication and patience. He realized something profound. Marcus was teaching his daughters lessons he couldn't, lessons in empathy, resilience, and the true meaning of love. Richard finally understood that wealth and status were meaningless without heart, and Marcus, unaware of the full scope of Richard's life, continued to do what he always had: act out of kindness and integrity. One rainy evening, Richard received a threatening phone call about a risky business deal. Distracted and worried, he was slow to respond when the twins called for help with a small accident at home. Marcus quickly intervened, ensuring the girls were safe. Richard returned home to see Marcus calmly managing the situation. His admiration grew. Marcus had kept the children safe while Richard panicked, showing that courage and presence weren't bought with money. Later that night, Marcus and Richard spoke privately. Marcus confessed, "I've never met anyone like them, or anyone who matters this much to me." Richard hesitated, then admitted, "I've been absent too long. You've shown me what I've been missing." It was a moment of vulnerability for both men, one from humility, the other from gratitude. Their respect and understanding of each other deepened. The twins planned a small surprise for Marcus, decorating the apartment with handmade crafts. Their excitement was contagious. Marcus was touched, realizing the influence he had on their lives in such a short time. Richard observed quietly, realizing the emotional bond between Marcus and his daughters had created something unbreakable. Money could not replicate this connection. One afternoon, a misunderstanding caused tension. Marcus accidentally assumed the twins were in danger and contacted Richard in a panic. Richard, stressed from work, initially reacted angrily. The twins looked confused and scared. Marcus calmly explained everything, and Richard gradually softened, realizing that Marcus's instincts were protective, not intrusive. It strengthened trust, showing both men they could rely on each other. That evening, Richard invited Marcus to walk with him in the garden. The rain had stopped, leaving the air fresh and clean. They spoke about life, fatherhood, and the lessons wealth could never teach. "I've learned more from you in weeks than from my own experience," Richard admitted. Marcus smiled, realizing that his values, humility, empathy, and hard work, were being recognized and appreciated. The next day, the twins refused to leave Marcus's side. They clung to him, whispering how much they loved him and how he had changed their lives. Marcus felt a warmth he hadn't felt in years. Richard watched silently, understanding that Marcus had become a pillar in their daughters' lives. Not a replacement father, but a guide and mentor. A misunderstanding with the twins' school escalated. Marcus defended them fiercely, speaking truth to authority and ensuring fairness. Richard, initially upset, saw Marcus's integrity and realized he could never do what Marcus did, fight with love and patience. The conflict resolved, but it cemented Marcus's place in their lives and highlighted Richard's need to learn humility and compassion. Late that night, Marcus sat on his balcony, reflecting. One night with 2 children had turned into weeks of joy, responsibility, and emotional growth. He realized that life's value wasn't measured in money, but in love, presence, and the difference one person could make. Richard made a bold decision. He would involve Marcus more in his daughters' lives, but carefully, respecting his independence while acknowledging his importance. He invited Marcus to a weekend at their countryside home, promising it would be fun and low pressure. Marcus hesitated but agreed, understanding that his influence on the twins' lives was meaningful. The weekend arrived, full of laughter, outdoor games, and storytelling around a fireplace. Marcus's humble, grounded personality brought warmth and comfort to a mansion that had always felt cold and impersonal. Richard noticed how natural Marcus was with his daughters, and how the girls thrived under his care. By the end of the weekend, a silent understanding formed. Marcus was no longer just a helper for one night. He had become part of their world,